They'll tell you that absence makes the heart grow fonder. It's a quaint little lie we print on greeting cards, isn't it? A lullaby for the lonely. But the truth, the real serrated-edged truth that you feel in your bones on a humid August night when the city is too loud and your own skin feels like a cage. The truth is that absence doesn't make the heart grow fonder. It makes the heart grow curious. And curiosity, my friend, is a far more dangerous and potent poison than fondness will ever be. Fondness is a tame pet. It eats from your hand. Curiosity is a wolf. It circles your fire in the darkness, and you find yourself listening for the snap of a twig, your heart beating in time with a predator's patience. This is the first and perhaps the cruelest secret of the silent power game. The strongest men don't seduce by being present, by being loud, by filling every empty space with their peacocking and their pronouncements. No. They seduce with the shape of the hole they leave behind. They understand the gravity of absence. Think of it. The constant texter, the man who double-checks, who asks, "Are you mad at me?" Who needs the constant hum of validation to know he exists. He is an open book, and frankly, a boring one. He leaves no room for imagination. He's all text and no subtext. His presence is a frantic buzzing noise that you eventually learn to tune out, like a cheap fluorescent light. But the other man, the man who is building something, the man who is wrestling with his own demons in his own private coliseum, the man whose mind is a tangled, fascinating forest, where he himself sometimes gets lost. He doesn't have the time to be a constant noise. His replies are not games. They are simply delayed by life, by a thought he had to finish, by a passage in a book he had to read twice. His absence isn't a strategy. It's a symptom of a rich inner life. He disappears not to be missed, but because he must. He is called away by the demands of his own soul. And what does this do to the observer? To the one caught in his orbit? It drives them mad. In a good way. The human brain is a pattern recognition machine, a detective. When a pattern is predictable, it gets bored and goes to sleep. But when there is a gap, an unexpected silence, a missing piece, the brain lights up like a pinball machine. It starts to create stories. It starts to write the script for him. What is he doing? What is he thinking? Who is he really behind that quiet focus? His silence becomes a canvas, and they start throwing all their most romantic, heroic, and tragic paint onto it. He becomes a mystery to be solved, and there is no aphrodisiac more powerful than an unsolved mystery. A recent, rather bloodless study from a university in Basel, I think it was 2024, talked about this. They called it cognitive chasing. They found that the dopamine hit from anticipating a reward is often far greater than the one from actually receiving it. The man who is constantly present, constantly available, kills the anticipation. He serves the meal before you've even had a chance to get hungry. The man who is absent, whose attention is a rare and precious commodity, he makes you starve. And, oh, how we love to romanticize our hunger. There's an old whispered piece of folklore from the northern coasts of Scotland. They tell of the Selkies, the seal folk who can shed their skins and walk on land as humans. The stories always focus on the man who finds the seal skin and hides it, trapping the beautiful Selkie woman as his wife. But they miss the point. The real power, the real seduction, wasn't in the theft. Imagine a different man, one who saw the Selkie dance on the shore, left her skin where it lay, and simply walked away. Imagine he just went back to his lighthouse, lit the lamp, and did his work. She would be baffled. Every other man would have tried to possess her. This one saw her magic and respected it enough to leave it alone. He acknowledged her world, by not trying to invade it. His retreat, his silent focus on his own lonely duty, would become a question she would have to answer. His absence would haunt her more than any cage ever could. He isn't playing a game, he is the game itself. So I ask you this, as you sit there in the glow of your screen, feeling that familiar pull of loneliness, that itch to reach out, to check, to confirm you haven't been forgotten. Look at the spaces you are so desperate to fill. What if their emptiness is your greatest asset? What if your unsent text is more eloquent than any paragraph you could write? The chase is a fool's errand. It's the breathless, sweaty work of a man who doesn't believe in his own worth. The true power is in stillness, in building a world so compelling, so dense with purpose, that your absence from the lives of others creates a vacuum. A quiet, irresistible pull. Stop trying to be the star of their show. Go and build your own damn cathedral. Let them wonder at the sound of the bell tolling in the distance. Let them find themselves drawn to the strange, quiet light shining from its windows. Don't chase. Don't call out. Simply be elsewhere. Be so profoundly, intoxicatingly busy with your own life that your absence becomes a presence in itself. A ghost they can't stop thinking about. What kind of ghost are you? The kind that rattles chains and begs for attention? Or the kind whose silence is so profound, it's the only thing they can hear? Perfection is a sterile god. True worship happens at the altar of a magnificent ruin. Imagine for a moment two statues in a silent gallery. One is of Apollo, carved by a master from a single flawless block of Carrara marble. It is perfect. Not a tool mark, not a vein, not a single imperfection. His face is serene, his muscles are mathematically precise. He is beautiful, and he is utterly boring. He tells you nothing except that the sculptor was very skilled. Now, look beside him. The second statue is made of dark porcelain, shattered into 100 pieces. But instead of being discarded, some patient, loving madman has pieced it back together, filling the cracks not with glue, but with molten gold. This is the ancient Japanese art of kintsugi. The statue is a web of golden fissures. It is undeniably broken. It is a roadmap of its own destruction. And it is breathtaking. It doesn't just tell you about the artist's skill. It tells you a story of violence, of survival, of rebirth. It insists that it is more beautiful for having been broken. Which statue draws your eye longer? Which one has a soul? We are raised on the myth of the marble statue, the myth of the man who has no cracks. The strong man, we are told, is invulnerable. He has no doubts, no wounds, no past failures that still ache when it rains. His armor is impenetrable. This is the great lie of masculine performance. A lie that creates fragile, hollow men who spend their lives terrified that someone will see the hairline fracture in their perfect facade. They are exhausting to be around, and they are exhausting to be. Theirs is a brittle strength, ready to shatter at the first real blow. The truly strong man, the man whose power is silent and gravitational, is the kintsugi statue. He is not defined by his invulnerability, but by the quiet, unapologetic ownership of his scars. He has descended into what Nietzsche called the abyss, looked his own monsters in the eye, and returned, not unmarked, but unashamed. His wounds are no longer sources of shame to be hidden beneath layers of bravado. They are the gold seams that give him character, depth, and a terrible beauty. He doesn't boast about his past hardships. That would be just another performance, another desperate plea for admiration. No, it's quieter than that. You see it in the way he doesn't flinch from uncomfortable truths. You hear it in the way he can listen to someone else's pain without offering cheap platitudes, because he knows the landscape of suffering firsthand. His past failures have given him a strange, weary grace. He tried to build a business and it crumbled. He doesn't hide it. The experience taught him the difference between an asset and an ego. He loved someone who destroyed him. He doesn't grow bitter. He learns the topography of his own heart, its fortified borders and its treacherous, soft lowlands. This isn't just poetry. There's a psychological phenomenon researchers have started calling the beautiful mess effect. Some studies in social cognition, some as recent as last year, show that while we judge our own vulnerabilities harshly, we tend to see the expressed vulnerabilities of others as courageous and bonding. When a man pretends to be perfect, he creates distance, an unspoken challenge. When a man owns his imperfections, he offers an invitation. He silently says, "I am flawed. I have survived my own wreckage. You don't need to perform perfection around me." This is an almost unbearable relief in a world obsessed with airbrushed lives and curated realities. It is a form of seduction so profound, it barely registers as such. It's the seduction of safety, of authenticity. It's the quiet power of the man who has nothing to prove because his proof is etched into his own skin. There is an old blacksmith's legend, a story whispered around forges, that the only way to create a truly unbreakable sword was to quench the red-hot steel not in water or oil, but in something that held a true and terrible power. The foolish smiths tried holy water. The arrogant tried the blood of lions. But the master smith, the one whose blades were sung of in legends, was said to have a secret. After forging the blade in the hottest fires of his own effort, he would quench it in his own collected tears of regret. He would pour all of his failure, his heartbreak, his shame into the very soul of the steel. The legend says the swords forged this way were not only unbreakable, but they would sing a faint, sad song in the heat of battle. A reminder that true strength is not the absence of sorrow, but its integration. Here, in this darkness, is the faint glimmer of hope I promised you. The liberation is this: you can stop. You can lay down the impossibly heavy burden of pretending to be marble. You are porcelain, you will be shattered. It's the nature of the material. The choice isn't whether or not to break, but what you will use to piece yourself back together. Will you use the cheap, invisible glue of denial and shame? Or will you have the courage to use gold, to make your wounds the most interesting thing about you? So, here is my challenge to you. Not a riddle, but an accusation. You've spent so long curating your strengths, polishing your marble surfaces. You think that's what makes you desirable. I accuse you of hiding the good stuff. So, in the silence of your own mind, show me a scar you keep hidden. Not the heroic ones you tell at bars. No. Show me the ugly one. The one that came from your own stupidity, your own weakness, your own failure. Now, stop calling it a wound. Start calling it a story. What does that story whisper when you finally stop trying to shout over it? The man who is a feast unto himself will never starve for the crumbs of another. I'm going to tell you a secret now. A dangerous one. The kind of truth that, in older, more honest times, they would burn philosophers for. The kind of secret that, if you truly understand it, will ruin you for the cheap and easy comforts of the world. Are you listening? Good. The secret to having everything you want from others, their attention, their respect, their desire, is to achieve a state where you no longer need it. Read that again in your mind. Let it curdle. It is the central, agonizing paradox of human connection. Need is a repellent. It has the stench of death on it. It is the desperate, clawing hunger of the zombie, the vampire, the ghost that cannot rest. Neediness is a black hole, and even light bends to get away from it. The man who needs her validation, who needs his peers' approval, who needs the world to applaud his efforts, is a beggar. And no one, not truly, desires a beggar. They may pity him. They may toss him a coin of affection, a scrap of praise, but their bodies turn away from him even as they do. The silent power we are speaking of tonight comes from the cultivation of a different kind of hunger, the hunger that feeds itself. Imagine two fires on a dark plain. The first is a bonfire. It's huge, impressive. It rages and spits and consumes everything it can reach. It requires constant feeding, piles of dry wood, validation, compliments, attention, victories. If it is not fed, it shrinks rapidly, collapsing into a heap of pathetic, smoking embers, whining for more fuel. This is the fire of the ego, the fire of external validation. It is a spectacle of consumption. Far away, there is a second fire. It is just a single, steady flame inside a lantern. It is not large. It does not rage. It consumes only the oil within its own well. It asks for nothing from the world. It doesn't need the forest to sustain it. It has its own fuel. It is self-contained. Its purpose is not to consume the darkness, but simply to be light. Which fire is more powerful? The raging bonfire that will die by dawn? Or the small, constant flame that can burn for 1,000 nights? The man who chases is the bonfire. The man who draws, who seduces with his silence, is the lantern. He has found his own oil. What is this oil? Kierkegaard, that glorious, melancholic Dane, might have called it a commitment to the absurd, a passion for the infinite found within the finite. Nietzsche would have called it the will to power, but not power over others, power over oneself. The discipline to transmute one's own suffering into fuel. A modern psychologist might call it an intrinsically validated locus of identity. But let's call it what it is, a purpose, a grand, all-consuming obsession that is not a person, not an object, and not a status. It is a verb, to create, to discover, to build, to master, to understand. The man who is possessed by such a purpose has no time for the petty games of seduction, and in this he becomes the ultimate seducer. His unavailability is not a tactic, it is a reality. His focus is not a mask, it is his face. He is not looking for a woman to complete him. He is looking for one who won't get in the way of his completion of his work. This is a terrifyingly high bar, and for that reason, it is irresistible. It broadcasts a silent signal. My universe is already whole. It is vast and beautiful and full of terrors and wonders. You are welcome to come and explore it, but it does not require you for its existence. There is an Eastern fable about a wise old hermit who went to live in a cave in the driest part of the desert to escape the noise of the world. For years he meditated, and his only trial was the constant, maddening thirst. He prayed for rain, he dug for wells, he begged the heavens for a spring. Nothing. Finally, in despair, he gave up. He accepted he would die of thirst, and in that acceptance, he turned his focus inward to the last great mystery, himself. Years passed. One day, a lost traveler stumbled upon his cave and found the old man sitting peacefully beside a small, bubbling spring of the purest, sweetest water. The traveler drank and then asked, "How did you find this spring in such a desolate place?" The hermit smiled. "I didn't," he said. I stopped looking for it out there, and eventually, it started bubbling up from in here. Soon, people were making pilgrimages to his cave, not just for the miraculous water, but to be in the presence of the man who was no longer thirsty. Do you see? He didn't find water. He became the source. This is the end of the chase. Not because you catch what you are running after, but because you realize you are running in the wrong direction. You are chasing springs in the desert when the entire aquifer is dormant beneath your own feet. So now my question to you is not a question. It is a command. Sit down, be quiet, and listen to the silence inside you. Beneath the frantic chatter of your needs, your wants, your pathetic little hungers, what is the great, deep, quiet river of your purpose? What is the work your soul is crying out to do? Now, I dare you. I dare you to take one single step toward that and away from them. And feel the entire geometry of the universe shift around you. Feel the terror and the glory of it. Loneliness is a punishment. Solitude is a throne. Let me whisper a little poem to you, a verse for the man who has grown tired of crowds. The crowd's a drunken choir, singing hymns I've never learned. Inside, a single spire, where my own silence burned. We are taught to fear being alone. Loneliness is the leper of the modern world. It is a failure, a social disease. The man eating alone, the man at the cinema alone, the man walking in the woods alone. He is an object of pity, or perhaps suspicion. What's wrong with him? Why can't he find company? We treat solitude as a problem to be solved, a void to be filled with noise, distraction, and the lukewarm presence of others. This is a profound misunderstanding. It is the confusion of a prison with a kingdom. Loneliness is the pain of being involuntarily alone. Solitude is the joy of being voluntarily alone. They are as different as drowning and diving. The strongest men, the ones with that silent, magnetic pull, are not lonely. They have mastered the forgotten art of solitude. They have turned their own consciousness from a barren cell into a magnificent cathedral. And they enjoy the echo of their own thoughts within its walls. This is not misanthropy or social anxiety. It's the opposite. The man who cannot bear his own company is a poor companion for anyone else. He uses others as a shield against himself. He seeks conversation not for connection, but for distraction from the terrifying silence within. He is a refugee from his own mind. His laughter is a little too loud, his stories a little too long. He is trying to drown out the sound of his own emptiness. But the man who has cultivated a rich solitude, he is a connoisseur of silence. He can sit with you for an hour without speaking, and it is not awkward. It is a shared peace. His presence is calming, not demanding. He is not using you as an escape route. He is here with you because he chooses to be. The fact that he is perfectly happy alone makes his choice to be with you a genuine, valuable gift, not a desperate act of self-preservation. Think of Nietzsche's Zarathustra. He doesn't come down from his mountain cave because he is lonely. He comes down because he is so full of his solitude, so overflowing with the wisdom and honey he has gathered in his years alone, that he must share it. He descends not out of need, but out of abundance. His solitude has made him rich. He is not seeking light from others, he is carrying a sun. This is the great quiet work, to become a fascinating conversationalist with yourself, to fill your inner world with art, with philosophy, with difficult questions, with the ghosts of dead authors and the melodies of forgotten music, to turn your mind into a place so interesting that you are never bored in your own company, to build a library inside your skull. There's an odd fable about a king in an ancient, forgotten kingdom. He was known for his uncanny wisdom and his serene, unshakable demeanor. His secret, it was rumored, was that one day each year he would lock himself away in a secret chamber deep within the castle. The chamber was empty, save for the fact that every wall, the floor, and the ceiling were perfect, flawless mirrors. For 24 hours, the king would hold a council with himself. He would speak to the infinite reflections of his past selves, his potential future selves. The tired king of the present, the foolish boy he once was. He would argue, confess, debate, and forgive. He would emerge the next morning, exhausted but whole, with a clarity no army of advisors could ever provide. He didn't rule his kingdom by listening to others. He ruled by first achieving a state of total, brutal honesty with himself. He was his own most trusted and most feared counsel. This is the hope I can offer you, and it is a quiet, sturdy one. You fear being alone. But what if the greatest love affair of your life is the one you have with your own mind? What if your inner world, which you flee from with endless scrolling and meaningless chatter, is actually a lost continent waiting to be explored? The liberation here is the discovery that your own company can be not just tolerable, but exquisite. It is to find that the person you have been seeking your whole life to understand you, to challenge you, to fascinate you, has been living behind your own eyes all along. The strength this builds is subtle but immense. It radiates from you. People can sense a man who is at home in himself. He walks differently. He listens differently. He doesn't fidget. He doesn't grasp for conversational threads like a drowning man grasping for a rope. He's anchored. The world is a loud, frantic, desperate place. The man who can offer a small island of quiet, self-possessed calm becomes a lighthouse. So, here is the riddle I leave you with tonight. If tonight you were to be locked in a perfectly silent room with no books, no screen, no windows, and no door for one entire week, who would you be locked in there with? Would you be meeting a dear and fascinating friend, a tedious and repetitive stranger, or your most bitter and relentless enemy? Be careful how you answer. It is the only answer that has ever truly mattered. The most perfect cage is not the one you are forced into, but the one you have prayed for. You know the cruelest joke God, or the universe, or the cold, indifferent void ever plays on a man? It isn't leaving his prayers unanswered. It's answering them perfectly. It's giving him exactly the love he thought he wanted. This is the final, most painful truth. So listen closely. This is the end game. The most destructive thing for a man's soul is not rejection, but the acceptance of a love that is conditional upon his performance. It is the love given not to the man, but to his mask. We chase and we strive. We build our careers, we sculpt our bodies, we sharpen our wits. We create a persona, an impressive, charming, successful actor to play the lead role in our own lives. And then, one day, someone loves that actor. They applaud him, they adore him, they want to take him home, and the man behind the mask, the real, strange, flawed, and perhaps monstrous creature, has a moment of chilling realization. He is trapped. To keep this love, he must never, ever break character. He must wear the mask to dinner, wear it to bed, wear it in the deepest silences of the night. His success is his prison. The love he receives is the lock on the door. This is the tyranny of the given love. It feels like warmth, but it's the warmth of a slow burning fire that is consuming you from the inside out. It looks like a beautiful, ornate gift box, wrapped in silk ribbons of affection and praise, but when you open it, you find it is completely, terrifyingly empty. Or worse, It contains only a mirror, reflecting the smiling, false face you've been presenting. Think of it like this. A man captures a wild wolf. He domesticates it. He trains it to sit, to fetch, to perform tricks for guests. He feeds it the finest steak. Everyone admires what a fine, well-behaved dog he has. The wolf is safe, fed, and admired. But in the dead of night, when the moon is full, it feels a howl in its chest that it must swallow. It dreams of the hunt, of the snow, of the savage, bloody freedom of its true nature. The love it receives is contingent upon it not being a wolf. Is that love? Or is it the most sophisticated form of taxidermy? The strong man, the one who understands this silent power game, eventually senses this trap. He feels the suffocating comfort of the given love. He sees the admiration in his partner's eyes and knows with a sinking dread that they are admiring a ghost, an advertisement. This is where the true, terrifying act of power comes in. It is not in winning the love, but in having the courage to reject it if it is not a love for the real. It is the courage to, in a moment of terrifying honesty, let the mask slip, to show the flash of the wolf's yellow eye, to say the wrong thing, to reveal a weakness, to confess a strange desire, to be sullen or difficult or, God forbid, imperfect. It is to risk the entire beautiful, fragile performance for one moment of brutal truth, to see if they will love the creature behind the curtain. Most of the time, they won't. They will recoil. They fell in love with the actor, not the sweaty, insecure man in the dressing room. And this rejection is the most profound and terrible liberation a man can experience. It hurts like amputation, but it is the beginning of his real life. He is finally free to find a love or a solitude that does not require his slow suicide. Recent work on what psychologists call identity confirmation theory touches on this. Papers from 2023 and 2024 are drawing chilling correlations between relationships where one feels misseen by their partner and chronic low-grade inflammation and elevated cortisol. Even if the relationship is superficially happy, full of smiles and social approval, the body knows it's living a lie. The soul's protest is written in the blood chemistry. Your own body will betray your performance. The ultimate act of silent seduction, then, is not aimed at another person. It is an act of seducing your own soul back from the brink. It is the power to walk away from a perfect love that is killing you. It is the strength to choose the vibrant, terrifying honesty of being alone over the dead. Comfortable lie of being loved for who you are not. It is to finally understand that the only love worth having is the one that is not afraid of your darkness, the one that doesn't ask you to pretend you don't hear the howling in your own chest. So this is my final confession to you, a question that may haunt you for a very long time. Look at the love you have, or the love you are chasing. Hold it up to the light. Is it nourishment, or is it a beautiful poison? Does it feed the man you truly are in all your strange and flawed glory? Or does it merely applaud the actor you have become? And what, I wonder, what magnificent, terrible thing would happen if you finally took a bow and walked off the stage for good?